You got Nash in the building.
Got Ash in the building.
And today we have three special guests. The neighborhood wise men, Abdul-Jabbar and Wale. Ash, what you got for us today?
All right, we're going to talk about life after serving a substantial amount of prison time. How y'all like that?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. So we can start off by, saying a little bit about what y'all been through.
So who want to take it first?
What the fuck?
Let the elders go through, baby.
Alright, okay.
Always go first.
Alright, well, look, I'm gonna go ahead and set it off first and
set it
foremost.
off,
My name Abdul-Jabbar. They call me Pop, whatever the case may be now. The thing is, I'm sitting here today because I wanna just basically talk about, the life situations that I've been through in my life as far as being incarcerated at a young age. Taking chances and taking risks and just doing certain things that I ain't gonna say I regret, but at the same time it was a life lesson. And sometimes they say experience is the best teacher. So based on that, like today I just wanna, we all need a place to vent. Cause like jail, a lot of people don't understand like the adverse effects of it is damaging because everybody think that it's cool. To get locked up. I know back in the day that was the thing. Like when we was young boys, it was cool to get locked up. Like if you ain't get locked up, you wasn't hip or you wasn't in the mix. Or if you wasn't selling drugs, you wasn't hip or you wasn't in the mix. But however, it was like, man, the long-term effects on it is crazy because it's like a lot of things that occur from being locked up, it shapes and it molds you and it can even break you, especially when you're tried with different adversities and you have your freedom taken away from you for a substantial amount of time. You really like change, like for the good or for the worse. You know what I mean? So, you see the adverse effects of it, not even just with you, with your family members going through things. You know what I mean? With your mindset, because it's like, once you do a certain amount of time, or if you get locked up for the fact that it matters, it's like you get a different type of treatment, right? You're not treated like a human being. You know what I mean? When they think it's fun and games, really you got your freedom restricted from you to the point where, you might come off a high from seeing your family on a visit. You know what I mean? You go back to the what's the name? They tell you, man, get naked, take your clothes off and all this stuff. Bend over, squat, cough, all this stuff ain't thorough. You know what I mean? You got a whole lot of like just disrespect, and it's bad because we really don't understand the schematics of everything when we go through these different things. And like I said, starting it off at a young age, we get tried, man. Like we get tried with all type of little different challenges and adversities to the point where basically like they really want to get us out the way. So these little sentences that we be catching, these little 2 to 4s and things, they add up. These 3 to 6 months, like once you go over to a whole nother realm, then they want to give you 10, then they want to give you 15, then they want to give you 20, then they want to give you life sentences. And these things is happening to young people. They not just happening to people that's in the mix real heavy. They happening to young boys 18 years old. They getting life sentences, the 30s, the 60s, and the different things of the nature. And like before they even get a chance to experience life. So this is one of the things, like I said, I wanted to just sit here and vent because I myself, I did 15 years, and like the whole 15, like I said, it was pretty much, highs and lows with it. It was a whole lot of highs and lows. It was things that I learned from it. It was times where I felt like, I was trapped. I ain't seen no light at the end of the tunnel. However, like, I did what I had to do. I got through it and I'm home now. So, that's a good thing. And I know these guys, they got some things to talk about too as well.
Absolutely.
My name Wale. Like I tell my man, our stories are very parallel, but with our stories being parallel, it's still like dynamics that differentiate my story from his story. Me personally, at 17, I was sentenced to 30 years out of state in the state prison. So it's very complex. Going to prison at that young age and being out here, I was doing the same thing that somebody 30 was doing or 40 was doing, but that did not classify me as a man. But this didn't matter to the system or whoever I stood in front of that passed over judgment, which I don't say that I'm sorry. I'm not gonna say I'm sorry for what I did, but I'm saying there's remorse there. But it all fashioned me to be who I am right now, because there's no telling if I was still on the streets. You know what I mean? Same thing I've been to somebody or somebody could have done to me. Me personally, I feel like prison saved my life in many different ways, fashioned me and matured me in many different ways, and I'm still growing. But in order for me to get here, I had to go through that. I had to walk through that in order for me to get here. And I'm still not done walking, you know what I mean, my lane. I'm still not done paving my own way, my own lane. So like I don't want to be too long, but like I said, our stories are very parallel. But my perspective and point of view is coming from a juvenile sentenced to a maximum security prison and being in there with maximum security inmates, and myself classified as a maximum security inmate at only 17 years old. So
That's deep.
You don't want to elaborate on that?
I will later on in this show.
All right, yeah. So we go like that. Y'all kind of short. I'm just trying to get my thoughts together as I'm listening to the effects of what y'all speaking in y'all story. You know what I mean? Like, regardless if you got a story or not, it's still touching to hear other people's story. You know, we all kind of coming from the same pathway, but like you said, you could differentiate between them and they run parallel at the same time. Like in the game, you got hustlers, you got thieves, you got robbers, you got stick-up boys, you got this, you got that, all living that same lifestyle, going down that same road, but in a different lane, but in the same game at the same time. To be quick, so we could keep bouncing around. Like he was saying, in the sense of feeling certified, he was trying to word he probably was looking for, like being stamped or certified by getting locked up at one point or being in the streets. My outlook is a little different as far as that, because my mind is losing my kid. My mind is that I got to pull from y'all energy, you know what I mean? Because my joint is blank. But usually, I come in, I got to spill, so it's different for me right now.
Yeah.
But from the certification point of standpoint is I kind of look at it like this: in these environments that we grow up in, a lot of times our influences are that which is in front of us, and we survive off that which is in front of us, which are was influenced. So it's not always thought of as in society, especially now. Like I hate people to compare now to back then because you can't really compare times. And I remember elders used to say this to us when we was young boys about when they was going through the riots or going through segregation. And me being born in the 70s, the late 70s, coming through the 80s and 90s, I was able to still be a little bit, I caught the butt in segregation, and I grew up in South Philly, right around the projects is the white neighborhoods. So I grew up fighting the Irish and the Italians and going to their stores. So I seen a little bit of the last end of what segregation or what racism was. And the systematic racism that put us in these neighborhoods and can us into a tuna can, whereas though the only thing we got to look forward to is these particular things. And by being tuna can, what you see, because nobody really cared about watching TV all day and sat in the house we didn't have phones to watch all day, so your influences came from that which was in front of you. And some people wanted to be a part of it because they wanted to impress women or they wanted status, or my whole thing was just a way of life. It's just something that you become accustomed to, and you realize, hey, I'm 5'9", or my shot to make it to the NBA or NFL is pretty much slim to none. So now you're looking for the next best thing, and at them times there wasn't no jobs available like now. Like the youth today got way more job opportunities than we ever had back in the early 90s or whatever the case may be. So your chances was slimmer, and by you coming out and seeing these different things and being influenced them, these are why everybody chose their path to it fit them. And for real, you kind of be doing everything. You hustling, you got a gag, you might be stick up, you might have a shootout. You kind of living in all of it at once, and it's actually come down to what you actually get caught for. You know what I mean? Because you might body something, you might be getting money, you might be going to war, you might be messing with chicks. You get caught with this, you know what I mean? Back in the day, like, right? I always think about I don't want to go too far, of course, but I'll just say this, because maybe it'll come up and then I can, my turn come back around, I can probably elaborate if I remember. But just saying that being certified and stamped was just because you had to be who you said you was. You couldn't just claim nothing. So if you wanted to be a fighter, you had to go out and fight some of the toughest fighters for respect. You wanted to be a hustler, you had to save and put it down and then show by whatever, show by your materialistic things that you start buying when you accumulate money. If you wanted, and there's so many different avenues to this. There's no one way. Because, me, I never hustled for women. I never hustled for status. I never hustled for people. It was just, I was attracted to it, like playing basketball, shooting dice. Like, dice for me wasn't about, I'm going to go try to hit a number and blow up on some money. I just like the adrenaline rush. So it's two sides of the argument. Like, you got some people who only hustle because they wanted to bring money in to get women. And the result always ends in two things, death and jail. And this is what they always tell us. So when you jump on this path, from whatever reason you choose the path, the end and results is always slim to none. And what comes out of it is us end up ruining our lives. But this is what the system wants to happen to us. Like, it ain't like it's not designed for this to be this way. So even when, I know some people feel like it's kind of like an excuse, but the reality of it is the systematic racism, the way they tuna can neighborhoods, the way they section off area codes and all this different stuff that they do to limit our resources to be able to grow and develop as men. Because and I'll stop with this because I don't want to go too far, but even during the time of slavery, right, when they would take the strongest of the black men and they would beat them and they would torture them in front of the whole village of blacks, the rest of the slaves, because the system from even back then, if you go into the Willie Lynch theory, you'll see that everything that they do, every 3 to 5 years, they revisit it and come different strategies to handicap the black community. And when they would take the strongest men, they will beat them because the first thing is pump fear in the women and the children. And if you see the strongest man getting beat and you respect him as the strongest man, then you fall in line. Because if he can get beat, I know I can get beat if I'm not considered one of the alphas of the community. So that's what they would do to break us, to break our spirit. So this is what they created in a system of freedom that's not really freedom. You know what I'm saying? So they create these systems, they tune the cannons, they put us in opportunities where their kids is learning in the 2nd, 3rd grade what we learn in the high school or 8th grade. So now we always behind from an educational standpoint. You go back to the days of slavery when people wasn't allowed to learn how to read. And if you learn, you'll get killed for it. These things are the root, going all the way back 100 and something years or 200 years. These things are the root of how we get here to when we come in our environments, especially back in the 90s or early millennium, and you come to what you see around you is drugs. You see around you drinking. You see around you crack addicts. You see around you all these different things. And so when we indulge in them is because this is what we start to believe we need to do to survive. Nobody in their right mind, I'm saying when you start young, because I started at about 9, 10 years old. If you think about a 19-year-old frame of mind, like I'm not thinking about an apartment or a spot, a car. I'm just trying to make sure I don't have to ask my mom for my next pair of sneaker money for. That's probably the biggest responsibility, or buying a Nintendo game, whatever the case may be. But nobody in their right state of mind, right, is coming out really fathoming the understanding of, if I do this, I may go to jail for the rest of my life, or if I do this, this is my freedom. You hear it and you know it, but you don't feel it in reality. You don't fathom the reality of it, is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So all of that brings us back to us choosing the path that we chose to choose. And I'll stop with that because I don't want to keep running with that.
That's his favorite line.
I'll stop with that. Okay.
So
Yeah.
So so I know you said you did 15, right?
Yes.
Out of your sentence, how many years did you do?
I did almost 13 years. I've been home.
Wow, so that's already 28.
Same thing.
Wow. Okay. So as you can see, a lot of y'all like some years have been lost already in the system, right? Mm-hmm. And I sang and I heard each and one of y'all perspective on doing time and what really drove y'all to do time, right? So what was the really thing that like woke y'all up? Like, I know you go into a prison cell, right? And you really don't, it's like a light bulb to go up, like this really is happening. Like, you go to court, you fight the case, you're doing this. But at what time in your sentence did it really hit you like, I'm really here? Like, I'm here for these amount of years. Like
I said, going back to it, it was times I felt like, like going back to what you said, I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And you know, he was around me for that period. I was with him. It was crazy because like he's from my block, and you know what I mean. The same place that I caught my case at, right? As far as like my first joint in the state, he caught a case out there, and it was like, damn, I ran into him actually. I mean, you know, going back through, but it was like it hit me one day, right? You know, I was in the bed, I was laying down. You know what I mean? You know, this was after going through the whole situation with the trial and everything with the feds and everything, right? Because at first it was just like a flash in a frying pan. It was a blur. Like I was just going through the motions. It was like it wasn't really real because nothing really set in at the time because you don't really actually had a sentence yet. And even when you get the sentence, it's like, all right, I got it. But I mean, that's why I said one of my things is like a lot of times with a lot of people, you know what I mean, it don't start affecting them until after the fact. Like it's probably like after you get from around, you know what I mean, say like, you know what I mean, you might get sentenced, you down state road or whatever the case may be, or for federal purposes, you might be down FDC, you still in the city of Philadelphia, you got the radio stations, you got the people coming in and out, you got the bid, you seeing people of your color, whatever the case may be, so you can relate to them. And everybody basically going through the same thing. Nobody in there really got more than 5 years or whatever the case may be, like in there. So it's like a transitional spot. But once you go and you get to where you're going at, and you get around, I mean, you know, you going that mountain or wherever you going at, you know what I mean, you know, it's just different. Everything is different. And then you go to sleep and you wake up and you see it, you like, damn, I got 20 something years, or I got a life sentence, or I got 30 years, and it hits you. So when you wake up, you're like, oh, this is real. Like, this is really real. Like, you start looking at the end of the tunnel, and it's like, all right, for somebody to come in 2006, or whatever the case may be, which was my situation, and have a release date of 2031, and at the time I'm 22 years old, 23 years old, it's like damn, like, you know what I mean? And it's not hitting me until I'm 26, 27, because after, you know what I mean, you know, you get everything out your system, and you actually bitten, and you actually stuck, and then like, you're around people that got the time or have been in, then it's like, damn, this is my reality. This is my reality. It's like, all right, so I got to deal with it. It was times, like I said, I used to wake up and be like, damn, I really got, I mean, you know, all this time to do. But at the same time, you got to like put your mind in an area where, like, I had to shut down, really, literally, like for 5 years straight, outside contact with the world. I did that not for them, but for me, because I said, you know what? I gotta make my psyche, I gotta like transform, because one, I don't want to be let down. I mean, I know what it feel like for somebody to say, listen, man, I'm coming up there and don't get up there. I know what it feel like for somebody to say, listen, I'm gonna go ahead and send you this. But whatever the case may be, I know what it feel like to have relationships in there where, you know what I mean, you know, people fall off. And this is one thing that they say, man, I mean, you know, a lot of people gonna fall off. You're gonna deal with a lot of disappointment in your bed. The majority, I'm gonna say 80% of the people that's locked up, man, deal with disappointment. I mean, from the closest people that they close with, from their family, from their, I mean, you know, friends, from whoever they entrusted and had the same, a different relationship in the streets. So that was one of the things that I looked at during time. I was like, man, you know, now I gotta work on me. I gotta really tap in and focus and see what it is, like, you know what I mean, that I can do to make my mental state better, because jail is mental. Prison is mental. It's not really physical. You don't have to worry about somebody trying to rape you, or, I mean, even fighting. I mean, of course you're gonna get little spats every now and then, but if you got, if you, I don't care how good you is at whatever you good at, like, you only have to do it but for so long. Like, you're not gonna fight somebody every day. Even if you aggressive individual, you're gonna get burnt out on it, because you end up going to the hole or getting transferred out to another jail, and it's just gonna be like a reset every time. So you're gonna even get burnt out on that. You're not really gonna be able to be comfortable doing your bid. However, like, you know what I mean, you know, you gotta tap in to, I mean, you know, what make you comfortable, what's good for your mindset, because it's all mental. Like, you don't gotta deal with like physical. You gotta deal with the people, like the people being disrespectful towards you because they can, unprofessionalism because they can, people lying in your face and telling you a liar, and you know they lie more than you. So it took me to like tap in, like first tap out from out there, tap in there, and say, you know what, I'm gonna be here. So let me figure this thing out. Let me figure out what I'm trying to do to better myself, because I already know how to be a fool. I already know how to do everything, like as far as, I mean, you know, things that is not conducive, I mean, to me, I mean, you know, getting my life back in order. I already know how to do all that, because that's what got me here. So I had to like really buckle down and try to, I mean, you know, reach inside myself, first and foremost, learn myself. because I didn't really know myself, to tell you the truth. I didn't really know myself. I knew the things that I liked, the things that, interest me. I knew being loyal to a certain degree and all these things, but then it was like, damn, like, I gotta really find out who I am, because I'm young. I don't know who I am. I'm young. A lot of the stuff that I did it because I just jumped out there. Like, I went head first. You know what I mean? Not saying I wasn't conscious. I always used to think about the effects of it, like basically the flip side of things. I always took that into consideration, but I didn't really care. You know what I mean? I didn't care because it was like, I'm there. I'm more on this side than this side. So I really had to tap in and learn, first and foremost, who I was, learn what I wanted to do, learn how I was going to make this thing easier for me, learn how I was going to, not come out this joint burnt out to the point where, because people go crazy. I've seen people lose their mind in prison, like, start taking medication and they just go off the deep end. And they can't really function. It's like it's a miserable air in there. Everybody's miserable to a certain degree. Nobody's like, it's not an environment where you're gonna get a lot of positive energy, so to speak. You're not gonna get a lot of people, telling you you could do this, or you're gonna be good at this, or you or this is this. When something go wrong, everybody like, I told you so. So it's more from the standpoint of, like, yeah, let's like, get in this barrel with me. I'm a crab, get in here with me. And come on down. Don't even try to go to the top. Just come on, try to go down. So that was basically that. But it hit me, and like I said, I just tried to always after that point, man. Get around people and surround myself with the people that I know I could benefit from me. That was gonna give me the good side about me, tell me things about me that I needed to know. Like, yo, listen, man. You gonna be alright. You gonna be. You a good dude, because at certain times I felt like, when so many people turned their back on me, I was like, damn, was I a bad individual out there like that? Like, damn, did I ever do something that warranted this? Like, sometimes you start second guessing yourself because you get in your thoughts, because it's just you. Like, you can have co-defendants and all that, but when you go to sleep at night, then that's just you. It's like you go to sleep with your thoughts and you wake up with your thoughts. You know what I mean? You gotta sometimes, like, make sure that you take care of your psyche in there, because if you don't, then you can go crazy or worse. You got all type of crazy stuff going in there, and people are weak. People are weak mentally. They weak mentally. Like, you got people that's in there dealing with men. It's crazy. So, like, and this don't mean that this based upon. This ain't based upon somebody doing a long length of time, because a lot of people got a misconception saying, well, if you did this amount of time, no, man, these people in there, they going that joint 5 years, 2 years, 3 years before they even get sentenced. They doing what they do because that's just in them. You know what I mean? A man, he a man. You know what I'm saying? A man gonna be a man regardless. You understand what I'm saying? And that's just what it is. But when you got people with these deficiencies, that's what they into. Hey, all right, boom. But that's the stigma. But it's a lot of sick, twisted people, sick mindsets. So you gotta, like, try to pull from the good, so that when you come back out here, if you eventually, got a chance to get released, that you can hit the ground running and you know what you want to do. Because, like the brother said, it's different options nowadays. Like, for a dude coming home, as opposed to somebody coming home back then, he had nothing coming home. You ain't got nobody trying to hire you. If you trying to do the right thing, you can't get a job. You can't really do too much. You know what I mean? If you was trying to do the right thing, so what did that push you to do? All right, I'm gonna go this way. I'm gonna go left and get right back to it. But now it's different, because there's so many opportunities, and we're in the information stage and age where, you can learn how to do something off YouTube. Like, people learn things and implement them. So it's definitely a benefit now that it wasn't back then. It's just about, how you tap into it. Like, when you coming out of there, or when you in there, you gotta definitely put your mind on the right things, because if you don't, you just gonna be caught up on the same thing. And it's sad, because, like I said, I got some homies that I still talk to, and their minds are still caught up on the same mentality as being in jail. The same thing that was going on in there, they brung it out here. They call you with the same thing, talking about, what's going on, like, with the people, as far as the dealings with them. It's the same thing that they was doing in jail. And I'm like, listen, man, we ain't in jail no more. Like, we ain't gotta be around each other. Like, we can go ahead and curb one another, like, and go ahead and do us if we ain't feeling each other right now. Like, we can't be stuck on that, because a lot of times now, people got families, people got kids, people got to readjust. People got to get their mind right. People got to get everything back in order that they lost. Because after a certain period of time, you lose everything. You know what I mean? You lose your family, you lose everything. You got to get back on track. So, you know what I mean? This is basically that on my take on it.
Oh man, when it set in, it took a while. I sat on state road for a few months. I lost my fight with extradition, so they extradited me to Maryland. Like I said, I was 17, so once I got out there, because of the nature of my crime, they took me straight to was that Supermax out there. So even then, if anybody tell you that they prepared to go to prison, they lying.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody tell you that automatically off bucks they just went to prison and they just conformed and they just automatically adjusted to it, they lying. Now, by nature, human beings, we are the most adaptable creatures on the face of the earth. Understandable. But it takes time in order for you to adapt to something. So like I said, being extradited at 17 and being sent straight to a Supermax unit, even at that time, it didn't set up. I was like, all right, well, it is what it is. It ain't set up. Even me being that far away from my city, where I'm from, born and raised, don't know nobody, it was like, all right, well, it is what it is. I went to probably like within like 72 hours, they take you up for bail and all that. They gave me $1 million bail. So then, that ain't set up. So the judge started reading off all my charges and everything that the max on the sentence. So he read off this, all right, you get life for this. You can get life for this. So there's 2 life sentences I'm facing. You can get 60 years for this. That's double life and 60. He said, all right, you can get 25 years for this. And then, based on I'm out of state, he was saying transporting a firearm also carried it, so it intensified my case. It didn't set in yet. I fought my case and I wound up playing out, with 30 years. Anybody that was on the case with me told, which is expected if they not built like that. It's expected. So they told me, I mean, it's not no badge that of honor, but it's just look what it is. It's a code of silence. You know what I mean? That's just the cloth that I come from. So I bid that. I was sentenced to 30 years, but it wasn't until years later. It wasn't until years later that it really hit me in the face, and I was walking on the compound. What was that? What was John was saying? That was like that was a max 1. So I'm walking on the compound, and I'm going to chow, and the officer say, I'm by myself. I move by myself. So the officer say, yeah, you look like you happy to be in jail. And I looked at him, and I'm like, not kind of like laugh, but I'm like, I went off. You know what I mean? And so I get inside the chow hall, and another officer, white dudes. And let me say this first. It's racist, crazy up there, and that joint is in the mountains. But it's crazy when you go to a jail that's populated by majority blacks, your own, and they treat you worse than the white people was treating you when you was in their jail. So I done been through all that. You know what I mean? I done been through all that. So I went inside the chow hall, and another officer said, yo, let's go. But I wasn't done. But I just felt as though I don't feel like listening to nobody right today. So he told me something, what you scared, this, that, and the fourth, and I called him out. I called him out on it. Like, well, if you scared when I come out this chow hall, I had to snap, snap back. Like, oh, wait a second. Like, I'm booked. I gotta, you know what I'm saying? And there's been situations where, Pop had to talk me off a ledge. Literally talk me off a ledge from taking somebody life or somebody taking my life. Because that's all I was like, all right, that's what it's gonna be. It's all I see. So it took a while for it to settle. It took a while for me to adjust to it. No matter what type of phone calls I was getting, no matter who was coming on the visit. There's a point in time where I wasn't getting no visits. I wasn't getting no mail. Any little females that I was getting. I'm young. I'm like, wow, I had this bunch of females, this, that. They ain't sending no mail, they ain't sending no pictures. Family not coming to see you, can't come and see you. People turn their back on you. People out there on the streets talking about, oh no, he gonna be done forever. And you know what I'm saying? So when you experience that, the safest thing to do, because already prison desensitized you from feeling all those emotions that you're supposed to experience properly. And it transformed from you don't feel love no more. You got hate. It's hatred pumping through your veins. It's anger. It ain't jealousy, but it's anger, it's hatred. And it's like, I call it black hatred. And when I say black hatred, it's not like you like, oh man, I hate that. I hate when I see this show. No, it's really hatred that when you think about it and you contemplate and you cogitate over it, it got you in a cell when you clenching, you know what I mean? Your jaw is locked. That type of hatred. You know what I mean? That type of hatred that, you know what, once this door hit, I don't care if it's a CO, I don't care if it's another inmate, I don't care who it is. I'm going to stab him and I'm going to the hole. That's just what it's going to be. So when you look forward to that, and when you start to be accustomed to that, you digging yourself into a deeper hole, and a darker hole at that. So when you fighting out of that, and being young, you know what I mean? So I'm 17, just turned 18, I'm already upstate. You know what I'm saying? And so all I knew how to do at that point was lash out. I'm not listening. I'm not adjusting. I'm not conforming to nothing you got going on. I don't care about nothing you got to say. And I'm not from here. So now I got a chip on my shoulder. I'm a young boy. I was about 5'7", 100 and something pounds, soaking wet. You know what I mean? And that came from stress, because when I was a real young boy, I was a chubby young boy. But all that came from stress. You know what I'm saying? But when them walls, like when you're young, and I tell you, man, when them walls get to talking to you, and I'm not talking about from no psychopathic thing or any type of, no, when them walls really get to talking to you, mean it's only you and your thoughts, and you got that black hatred pumping through you, and you got that anger, that frustration, you know what I'm saying? When you got all that pumping through you, like, you know, it builds and it forms and it gives way to some beast. You know what I'm saying? So inside of you, if you don't check that, and it took me a while to be able to have a heart to rectify that. Not just rectify, but you gotta have a heart and the courage in order to rectify. Like, hold up, like sit the hell down, like check this out. This is what you gotta do, not what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? Nobody goes to prison and say, I want to listen, I want to bend over. When another man's telling you when you coming off a visit, like bend over, not just bend over, but spread your cheeks. Let me see your butthole. No, it's real.
No,
and when if you got one way, you got one window to act like you don't want to do it. They're giving you a year in the hole.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So the adjustment was like, man, in order for me to accept my situation, I gotta adjust first. So at that phase, it was like, man, you know, I wasn't getting visits, so I stopped looking forward to visits. I wasn't worrying about no mail. All I knew at that point was, prison, this is what I'm on. I'm bid. I get a letter, money, whatever. None of that mattered to me. And I went through years. Like, it wasn't until like my last, out of damn near 13 years, it wasn't until like my last 5 or 6 years that I really was pushed like full court pressing change. So like before that, prior to that, it was just like, it took a long time in order for me to, just like I said, my situation is different. I went in as a juvenile. You know what I'm saying? So my adjustment phase and still, it was like, sometimes like, damn, I did all that time in there like that. I don't believe that. People see me like, damn, you home? I don't even believe I'm home sometimes. Sometimes it's like, you know what I mean? And then I get a lot of jail calls. Because I'm not going to turn my back on them. I know already, I just come from, I can't turn my back. So I get a lot of calls. And when they be like, man, you know, damn, you home? And I be like, man, I was supposed to do this. And, you know, by the permission of Allah, with the new law change as far as the juvenile sentencing, that would, you know, I was able to come home and get my time back. You know what I'm saying? And the judge, like, she really believed in, you know, she seen everything out there, and she really believed in me, so she gave me another shot, but I lost submission. But yeah, it took years. It wasn't until like 7 years that it really was like, yo, Buck, like, you gotta buckle down and really put forth an effort, like bring some courage in order to like tame that monster inside you.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah.
My turn.
Mm-hmm.
It all started when I was a twinkle in my father's eye.
Y'all just break that out.
Man, that was good to listen to, both of y'all. It's crazy. This ain't what I want to say, but just like you said, when you come home, you be like, a week ago I was getting up for count. You just landed like I just got yesterday I was getting up for count. 3 days ago I had to get up for count at 4 o'clock. And you go through that like I was just going to the shower, and it take a little while for that to rub off. Even to the point, because I've been home now 4.5 years, I don't say that. I told myself that I'm gonna break away from saying that. Yeah, I just came home. Even telling people that I was locked up. Like I'm over that story now. Like that's a past story. Like that's how I feel now. So if I'm engaging with a couple people, if I'm engaging with, let's just say, a female or whatever it is, I don't want to be like, oh yeah, you know I had this such and such X Y Z, especially off the kickoff. Like now maybe down the line, if you ever get having heart to hearts and oh I've been through this, you know how everybody gonna get expelled, then maybe it come up. But I think my journey in this way is a little different. Like I never was a person who stressed. Like I'm not a stressor. I'm not a worrier. I'm not a stressor. I think that because I don't physically do it, or you will never see it, it comes out in different ways. And that's what I learned about myself since I was a kid. And I think for me it started when my pop left my mom. I was born, my pop chose to not be there. He wasn't never locked up. He wasn't never around. And I think knowing that growing up, since I was a little kid, I always took that position. I was a big brother. It was my mom, me, and my aunt. My aunt kind of like, my mom had 18, she had me as a brand new baby, and her 8-year-old sister with no parents. My grandmom dead, my grandpa living in Florida. So I was always like, I had to grow up as the boy, like, you know, I'm accepting my mom and my aunt. I think that helped me in a lot of ways, kind of always just be prepared for the bull crap and all the things like helping my mom in abusive relationships. I'm fighting with her at 3 years old. I can still remember what happened, where we was at, the dude's name, how old I was, and I can go all the way back to 3 years old. Me and my mom talk about this sometimes. So I think all of that always prepared me for the unexpected. So I go to say going to juvenile, doing juvenile time. It's sad to say, but I went through the ranks. Juvenile time, state time, fed time. And through it all, you know, it was nothing. Like, and I'm going back to the question that she asked, like, when it hit you, right? I'm gonna blow your mind with this. I never, it was nothing. It was just another adjustment. Like, I lived in jail. He'll tell you, I lived in jail. I wasn't in there. I mean, you get frustrated with the things that's going on in there, like, far as, like you said, like, all right, a person perspective on it could be different, but you do have to make adjustments, and you don't go in prepared for every single adjustment, like you said. Like, even though I kind of smoothed through it, because I always had a thing, don't let this become me. Don't become this system with how jail, even though you're going to get institutionalized, no, irregardless who you is, you're going to get a little bit institutionalized somehow, some way. Even if you create your own institution inside the institution, you're going to have your own way to be institutionalized, even if you're not with the masses. But I always had a thing, don't let this become me. I'm not this. So I'm going to work hard not to become this. I'm not going to be jail boy. I'm not going to be this boy. I'm not going to be that. So that was my fight going into it. And it's crazy because guys that who he say he is, and even with Pop and the stuff that he went through, I was always the water on the fire, the ice on the heat, you know what I mean? And I was always that one boy that could connect with a guy like you or you or you or you, all the diversity of wild, crazy people. I was the one glue who can connect to all of these dudes. And people used to be like, why you deal with them dudes? Or why you? Because I always had that coolness, right? Because I wasn't worried. I wasn't stressed. I was, all right, this is what it is. This is the other side of the fence. I was prepared for this. It's like me being in the streets, I always knew that was the other side. Like how we prepare for death. I remember being 16, 17, we going, we shoot, we doing all this craziness. And it was different purpose from now, but we like, man, if I make it to 18, you know, if I make it to 21, I remember I used to say, once I turn 25, if I get killed after that, I don't even care. I made it to 25. Like, that was like a monumental age. And being 43, I can look and say, man, I 25 was a baby. Because I look at these, my kid 24 now. I got a 24-year-old kid. I got a 21-year-old that got killed. I got a 20-year-old daughter. So now I look at them and see how much of babies they are. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of like smooth through it, right? But here's the kicker. Everything that I saw people go through during their time, you know, I played ball, played football, studied 6 to 10 hours a day. So I kept myself busy. And I was systematically keeping things in order. So I was always still me, being an alpha, being a leader, being a person who always go getting and doing. So I always fulfilled the things of the emptiness that you miss. And I wouldn't call people, like when I call home, people would offer me money, offer me this, and I had my own little money still and little stuff. But I would tell people no, because I was more afraid that if I say yeah, then you can't come through. I might not hear from you for 9 months or a couple years, because you told me you was gonna send me $100 and you didn't do it. So now when I'm calling just to kick it, you thinking about me calling because you gave me a promise that you couldn't keep. So we all face the letdown of family and friends and women and people, you know what I'm saying? And the only way to combat that is to take that, like to take yourself away from it. Like he said, remove yourself from the emotion of that being effective, because if you hang on that, you won't survive. You'll be one of the people pilled up, crazy, walking around like a zombie, maybe getting into boys. And I wanted to clarify, because people got this impression that everybody in jail mess with boys or it's a small percentage. It's weird. It's a lot of people, but a little bit of people at the same time to the masses of people in jail. Like if it's 5,000 people in the jail, it might be a good 100 people on nut stuff. Like, you know what I mean, maybe 200, but it ain't every single body. Like some people think, oh, dudes in there doing time, they messing with boys. It's more men than it ain't. You know what I mean? It's some suckers. Cause you gotta, like you said, it's categories of people. Like you got dudes that might be in there trying to manipulate people. You got dudes kind of control. So you got a bunch of different people before you get to the boards that's on boards. You know what I mean? And a lot of times we clean that up. Like we used to clean that up immediately. Y'all gotta go immediately. Absolutely. But what I wanted to get to, far as your question is, all right, so do the time, and I don't know if Pop Abdul-Jabbar can verify this, or somebody else that was with me can verify. Like, you can't really go back and be like, I remember that time he was going through, he just was in the bed, because I was always studying and leading and doing this and doing that. So you can't go, nobody can go the day of my bed and say, yo, that dude was always stressed out, or this, or he was hungry, or he was struggling, he was this. I didn't have those issues. But look at this. Them same issues that I was able to avoid behind the wall crashed down on me now. And the PTSD that you suffer, right? Because the reality of those things that people used to stress about, I never worried about. But when I take my hat off, all my hair gray. And when I take, no, this real rap, and I'm looking like, oh, snaps. Because I went to jail 22. 3 years, came right back, and within a year, I was back in the feds. So, because I was playing the game at a level where, you know, we was running like everybody. Everybody got a story. But I realized I lost all my 20s and my 30s. Came home a little bit before 30, a couple months before 39. And when you see it, you say, you realize the opportunities of your youth that you lost out on, the things that you can't go back and correct, the time that you missed with your kids, the time that you missed even being able to choose a particular woman that you might have wanted to choose, a career, a job, or anything like you. Because at 40, you know, I don't want no 21-year-old girl, no 22-year-old. She might be fruitful, but I don't see no future with that. So now the people I deal with gotta been through hell just like I've been through hell, but on the streets. Or they might have been through 5 bad relationships. They don't have to be, and it don't gotta be a chick with a whore. It's just like they damage from damaging men, damaging women. Or they damage from family issues and sibling issues and mother and father issues, and they've been damaging men who in turn damaged them. So you gotta deal with the damage now. I remember when I used to be young, I used to beg like, yo, the older you get, the worse your selection. Regardless, because you might deal with an ex-crackhead. And I used to be always be playing, right? Because you know when you're young, you think 40 and all that, be old as hell. You're like, man, you 40. You meet chicks, she used to be smoking crack. And I used to always laugh, like, it get worse. get your girl now. What you gonna do? I used to be bidding off dudes. And the reality of it is, let's throw the crack out, but the reality is the damage of the mental that a lot of us going through because a lot of our people are damaged. So now you gotta come out at an older age and you gotta face most of the people that you want to deal with day to day that been through a lot. We all got a bag on our back. We all got a story. We all got a struggle. We all been through hell. We all, not hell, Soprano law, but we all been through like different trials and tribulations on the earth. So now you gotta take that on with people. So it's a lot to take on along with suffering from PTSD, suffering from losing your freedom, suffering from losing your youth, suffering from losing all the things that the system takes away from us. So people, and then you gotta suffer from the love, like we sit in jail for 13, 12, 13, 15, whatever some odd years, right? And them people you remember from that time when you was free, them the people your heart love, like they your people. And you stuck in that time as far as your freedom. So all the love that you got and the remembering the stories and all that come from that. While them decades, they're going through a bunch of different life stuff. And it hurts, it breaks your heart when you realize that them people that you've been hoping live till you get out and you hope to live to see and all this, the separation is there. It's no longer a connection. And it's like, damn, I loved you all this time. I never stopped loving you just I got love for you, you my man or whatever it is. Now you don't even got love for me, you don't even see me. I seen it in jail because you wasn't writing me like that. You wasn't sending me no money like that. You wasn't checking for me like that. You ain't go check on my kids. You ain't go check on my mom. It was evident. And one of my chicks that you know was one of my chicks, you tried to smash her one night, but she told you no. She the one that didn't break. But she told me. She wrote me she never wrote me all this time, but she popped up with a letter, yeah, you know your man came at me. You ain't write me none of this time, but you told me that. So when you gotta detach all of these different things, you come out, this adds on to the PTSD that you suffer from and the trauma that you already suffer from when you gotta wake up every day and these people telling you, get up. It's 6 o'clock, 4 o'clock count. You might have had a rough night because when your head hit the pillow, the reality of where you at sinks in. The reality of that you don't see the light, that sinks in. The reality that you can't raise your kids, that sinks in. The reality that you might never have no kids, that sinks in. The reality of what your mom and sisters and siblings go through that you can't be there to help when you the leader of your family, that sinks in. And some people that go in as leaders, they face different adversity, but some people go in and realize, man, I should have been better. And they advance and change their ways. So it's so many different categories and ways of people changing and advancing, and when it hit them and the realities hit them of being away and being incarcerated, it pushes you to go harder. Like he said, it took me years to conform to be. I seen him as like can't control himself to being able to humble himself and grow up because the monkey was on his back. And I remember people, the monkey was on your back and people see it and you don't see it, but you see it in their face. People used to tell me, I see it in your face. And when you can see it also when it's lifted, when a person gets some type of relief, or when a person turns to a loss of about the island. And it's so deep, man. There's so many channels to this. But for me, it happened to me on the get to the point of what you're saying, is it happened to me on the back end. So I got through the biz smooth and all that, but what disturbs my peace, my mind and my heart is now dealing with the reality of with that time ripped apart, with the system ripped apart from you. Because you come home, you think, okay, these my people. Like you said, I never been a bad dude. I never dirty work nobody. Nobody will never be like, yo, that nigga got on stand, told on me, and got me locked up. Or that nigga set me up. I could walk around anywhere in the city with pride. You can't say that I did those things to you. You know what I mean? You can't say that I'm the reason you in jail. You can't say that I ratted you out and set you up. You can't say that. And from the streets that we come from, that's a badge of honor to a degree. Even though in this world today it doesn't mean nothing. But in our world, it meant a lot. So even being able to say all that, you could walk around with that badge of honor and you expect the love and peace to come to you. But as I started advancing in my education in Islam, I started realizing that when I used to give clippers, sometimes I would say, because when I got the brothers that's wilding out and they acting crazy, and you gotta put the Islamic check down. Not personal, Islamic. Sometimes you do gotta personally check a dude because he want us to be how he want us to be. But the Islamic check down, they say, yo, we'll have, let's just say 52nd Street, you know what I mean? We'll have 52nd and Market send you a money order. Did you get one yet? Did you get some money, say it go $100 and at the bottom say 52nd and Market? These streets ain't sending you nothing. Ain't sending you a dime. Ain't sending you a care package. And now let's put the names on 52nd and Market. Kareem, Abdul Haq, John, Mike, Ray, whoever you want to name. Cliff, Shotgun, Pistol, you know what I mean? Reefer Puff, whatever, I mean, whatever a nigga name is, Smoke Weed, whatever, all these niggas, they name ain't on a money order. It might be that miscellaneous chick that you kind of fronting on that always just had love for you that pop up and visit you one day out of nowhere, just happy to show support. So those things, those realities hit you, and when you went there, you, like me, I was able to block a lot of it out, and I studied 6 to 10 hours a day, played ball, did different things, and I kept my same street attributes while in there. So it didn't feel like I really lost nothing. But when you come back out here and the camaraderie is gone, you don't got nobody out this joint. And it ain't saying like you need somebody, like, but we, especially when you walk the joints, we all got each other. Like, so we like brothers, like, you know, we in and out of it every day. And when you come out here and the reality of those people that, cause this is a quick note, what we do, and people gotta get adjusted to this. Mostly jail boys, we tell backstories. We so used to telling backstories that we might talk too much to an average person because they don't understand why we going in, how we going in. So because now, let's say both of y'all was women I dealt with. You might be high school. She might be academy, because that's when she worked. I met you in high school. I met her in academy. She from around the way. She backyard. We used to be kissing on the step. She's, you know what I mean? So, and then my man, he pull up on the chick. You know what I mean? We got nicknames for everybody. So now when I start talking, I'm like, yeah, Acme, man, I ruled her. I mean, I was expressing myself to it, nigga, like, damn, yeah. Because they know Acme. That's the backstory. So, but before you get to that, you breaking it down. Look, this man hugged me. We did this. We came around like this. We was always, we used to be in the car all night. We used to take a trip. So you giving a dude the backstory so they can understand and feel you. So when you venting about these people that you love, or these important characters in your life, they understand exactly who you're talking about. And so we bring that home with us because we just so used to it. When you talk like this for over a decade or more, it become the way you talk. So now I might be talking, you like, damn, Shan, because, see, look, you like, this nigga. Because you like, you ain't had to tell me all that. But I'm telling you because I'm like, you don't know them anyway. So I got to tell you who they is so you understand what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So a lot of those things, people gotta learn how to, and I'm gonna wrap my part up with this. People gotta learn how to adjust to us as well as we gotta learn how to adjust to them. But they also gotta take into consideration the systematic PTSD and trauma that's on our brain from even like you saying, that story don't leave you when you say, man, I was 17 and da 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 da. That's still your story. You 35, that's your story. His story is his story. My story is my story. And sometimes also being around niggas and cellies for decades and some change, or a decade and a half or 2 decades, sometimes you just need a cave to just have your own personal space. And it ain't personal towards the people around and family. They be like, oh, this dude acting funny, but you like, nah, look, I don't know why, but I just need some space. Like I've been around people and people telling me what to do and ordering me around and waking me up. Like me, I used to get woke up any time of the day. Anything happened with the Muslims, they coming to get me. Get up. I just was working since 4 in the morning. Damn, now when I get up, because your mind racing in jail, I'm one of those people that can't go back to sleep. Like I'm one of those people that gotta fall asleep. I go to sleep when I can't stay up no more. That's how I did my whole bit. I never was one of them, all right, y'all, it's 8 o'clock, I'm out. Nah, I gotta be like this. Oh, I was tired. I had a baby. All right, now I'm tired. You feel me? So you got all those different characters of people, and for me, I brung my reality hit me. It's hitting me as we speak still. You feel what I'm saying? And the different trials and tribulations that come with trying to, because at our age, ain't nobody taking care of us. Even a woman, like she might be like, all right, you can stay with me for a little while. get yourself together. But if it ain't coming fast enough, now everything I do, boy, you stepping up my steps, you getting on my nerves. Boy, you done flushed the toilet 3-4 times. Boy, you ain't wiping the shower down right. You know what I mean? Like, you see me clean it, but you ain't hit the wall, you hit the crack. You know what I mean? You start making up stuff to be mad at you. Boy, you keep letting your phone ring. I don't like that ringtone. Switch your ringtone. Like,
No.
you just want me out of the show. You know what I mean? So we gotta work extra hard to find a way to make our way, because ain't nobody gonna take care of us but for a limited time, if we even get that. I got a stack in the offer for a pound of weed when I came home. But, you know, all the promises I got, that's what I got. In fact, I got one stack that a person made me spin it in front of me. Buy this, buy that, buy this. I got another stack to go get groceries, and somebody offered me a pound of weed or a stack.
Wow.
And you say you do all that time, and damn, I'm glad I didn't really need it, but it's just, this is the reality of, damn, what you expect love, and it don't be love, or you expect, and rightfully so, it's hard out here. So a lot of people don't have it, but for the few that make it help, and they give you this story, because when you in the joint, you got pride. I mean, I'm not calling, yo, make sure you got that when I get there. You done build up a little more pride than you probably already had. I ain't asking niggas for nothing. I already know you ain't even want to send me a check. So you get out, it's on your mind. I don't care what. Now I'm gonna say this: a nigga lying, because I don't like to say stuff like that, but I respect that you saying that, because it comes in different ways for different people. But a nigga lying, if they say that they run into some of their old people, and even if you don't want nothing from them, it's on your mind what the nigga might give you. I'm gonna see if he break me off with something. It's on your mind. You can't help it. You don't want nothing from him. You might, I don't want nothing from nobody. You mean that, but you still got in the back of your head, damn, see if this nigga gonna throw something to me. You know what I mean? It's just a natural. It's a natural instinct.
Taking away the expectation.
Taking away the expectation. Is y'all?
Oh, wait. Yeah, one more.
Oh, one more question. All right.
I have another question. Oh yeah, you going?
Oh.
She didn't get one.
Listen, I never even got one, but anyway.
No, you do.
All right, I heard all of y'all speak about how y'all, you know, when y'all first went in and how different things happen. Like, the biggest thing I really hear is that support piece, especially even going. It's like a support going in, right, and then coming out. Like, they had their support piece, but really, how did? This is for, or any one of y'all can answer. How did it really actually change you, your personality? Like, how did it actually change you, prison? How did it change you as an individual?
Say that short one. You said support.
So,
Is you saying support?
Yes.
Or how does no support change you?
So basically, like, all right, support in the beginning, then it's the support at the end. But it's like that y'all take away the expectations at the end of the day, because you don't want to become disappointed by different individuals telling you one thing and then it's another thing. But then you get to see the same kind of thing when you're getting out, like the support, like, you need the support, but you don't want to ask. You know what I'm saying? But I'm trying to get my thoughts together. I can't even think. Listen.
No, so you basically saying the importance of support, right?
Right.
You go in, you got support going there, right? And then throughout your bid, you might not have the support. And
right.
then coming out, you still need the support, though you don't want the support because you was in already not having the support.
Right.
But everybody needs support some way, somehow. What was the last
How
piece?
did it change you?
Yeah, like, how did it change you, like, as far as like support? Like, you know how some people like, I ain't asking nobody for nothing, or it's like you're not easily able to accept things from people, certain stuff like that. Like, how did that really really change as far as that go? Like, that's not really the question I was trying to ask. Listen,
Take your time.
Listen, my mind, I'm sorry.
Let it come
I
back.
know that always happens with people, but no. So basically, the support piece, like, how important it is. Did it change you? Like, is it easy now to accept it or not?
I'm gonna say this.
This is a short one.
This has got to be a short one because I got to really get
All right.
back. It's almost that time. But really, like, man, in a nutshell, it's like when you come home, man, you know, the whole objective is not to hit the ground running, but if you can hit the ground running, but the most important thing is to be patient. Be patient with yourself, as well as, you know what I mean, you know, people that you know have your interests, they have your best interests. So when you come home, like he said, and you know what I mean, you know, coming home after doing all that time, and being promised a whole lot, even though you may have not needed it, but you already know when we down for that certain amount of time, you need a lot of support, even if it's mental support. Really not that much physical, but some people need physical support, but mentally you really need that. So it's like coming out, coming home, it's like, you know what I mean? You know, you gotta really like humble yourself, because a lot of times you think because your man got this going on or that going on, and he telling you this and he telling you that, it's a different story when you get in his face, because like that whole situation become, all right, I'm here now, what's up? I had family members tell me things like over the phone, like I'm talking about close, like immediate. Listen, this is to the side for you, this is to the side for you. I get there and it's like you want to spoon feed me. You know what I mean? Which is cool because I gotta, you know what I mean? I'm not looking for you to, I mean, you know, I'm just looking for you to keep your word. But at the end of the day, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and do what I gotta do to get on my feet as well. This is what all, I mean, you know, the preparation in there, like it's always the same. Like you can't prepare yourself for what's gonna happen out here. You can prepare yourself in there for coming home, but you can't prepare yourself for what happens when you actually get home. You gotta actually like walk through it. You actually gotta take your time, because everything that heard is nothing like what's seen. Everything that's seen is nothing like what's experienced. So you gotta definitely come out here, you gotta experience it, you got to walk through it, you got to take your time and be patient. Here it is, I'm less than 45 days home, but things is, I mean, you know, coming together for me, and I'm being patient. You know what I mean? I'm not rushing, and this is the best advice somebody can give you. Be patient, because you'll find yourself, I mean, you know, either chasing the carrot on the stick of the hat, or you find yourself trying to keep up with the Joneses. And a lot of times things that you see ain't always what it is. A lot of times people got these facades up, I mean, you know, with a whole lot of different things that they presenting, but it's contrary to what reality is. So I say that, like, I mean, you know you're supporting cats when you get out here from how they carry it with you. I mean, the advice that they give you, because that's the best thing that you give a person is advice. Everything else, you can really do it on your own. You know what I mean? You know, there's people out here that been here for years. You're going to surpass them. Maybe you're not going to surpass people on certain levels, but a basic inclination to do what you got to do when you come home, you're going to do good. You know what I mean? As long as you keep everything within the realm of something that's reachable and attainable. When you set the bar high for yourself, that's cool, but first get your feet wet, build your foundation up, and then from there you take it up. But first and foremost, man, you gotta build the concrete foundation. You can't come out here, pour the sand down, and then walk on it and expect a skyscraper to grow. No, you gotta go ahead, pour the concrete down, and build from the bottom up. Even with the little support that you get, you gotta make it count. And that's basically that. So, you know what I mean? You know, at the end of the day, you just gotta stay focused. I mean, like, everybody's gonna be challenged with some people that been here, been home and had their freedom for years is challenged. So you actually get out here, you just gotta adjust to everything that's going on. You know what I mean? As far as to what you feel like you want to deal with, what you feel like you're not gonna deal with. Get your routine together and just take it from there. And that's basically that.
Anybody want to close it out?
Just kudos to the people who do support you when you do come home, the people who come out of nowhere, the people who keep their word. Because I don't want the statement to seem like nobody keep a beam, but for the people who do, kudos, man, because people need it. You know what I mean? Everybody can use a little bit of help. No matter how they feel, everybody can use a little bit of help and assistance. And kudos to the people who know people and respect those people who came and assisted people at the end of their bids, when they got home, whatever they was able to assist the person with, man. Top hats off to them, you know what I mean? Because that's honorable, you know what I mean? Especially when you don't got a agenda. But if it's genuine, it's honorable, man, because all of us, whether we want it or not, we need help, like you said, mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever. Just sometimes we just need a friend or air, you know what I mean? You need somebody that you can tell the same thing every day, but they ain't like, this dude, he just told me about it yesterday. You need somebody that's like, I feel you, and just know I'm being there for you. That's it. So kudos to all the supportive people who back people that was in these type of predicaments or situations, or even us three. That's a prime example of it, being backed by the people who step up and back us. And had our back, from the minor to the major.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank all three of y'all. honestly, I just sat here, we listened to everything each one of y'all said, and y'all literally gave a total of 41 years back. So y'all gave the system 41 years total amongst the three of y'all. Right? Thinking about it is like, wow, right? You don't even want to pass 41 on the couch, but just imagine like that many years back to the system. So, and to see y'all still be able to be in your right mind to come out and still do what y'all got to do, you know what I mean, and still show up and you actually learn from what y'all been through. And still, like you said, I'm still growing. I don't really know me. I'm still figuring out who I am at the end of the day.
Self-awareness piece that's setting.
Absolutely. So, you know, keep doing what y'all do. Y'all know what y'all got to do. And that's that. And this is Nash signing off.
Signing off.